Hello, everyone. Justin here from Trellis. Excited to introduce to you Molly Gallagher, the Executive Director of Scope, along with her colleague Heather Odell, who is the Operations Manager. We're really excited to have them here to tell us all about their organization, their events, and how they loved, I think, we'll find out, using Trellis. So without further ado, Molly, why don't you kick us off and tell us about your organization and their events?
Great. Hi, I am Molly Hott Gallagher. I'm the Executive Director of Scope, Summer Camp Opportunities, Promote Education. We are a national nonprofit funder of camp and college scholarships for children and teens from low-income families and under-resourced communities to first gain access to attending summer camp, overnight summer camps throughout the U.S. And then with 6 or more years of commitment to our camp experiences, children are eligible, when they're young adults, to apply for partial college scholarship. And then once having the access to attending college with our support, we are hopeful in helping them find their next step in their career paths into their future. So we're putting children on the path to camp and beyond. That is really who we are. And we host a series of events throughout the year, large-scale events such as our 550-person New York-based benefit, which is what we brought Trellis in for to begin with, and then smaller-scale events, anything from 50 to 100 people and up, and all different scales of what those events look like. We're now using Trellis for our upcoming golf event and cocktail party, for a music event that we host, potentially for small-scale pickleball tournaments. We've had even some of our camp relationships use Trellis for some of their events that they do to support Scope also. So really exploring the space and what Trellis has to offer, and using for silent auctions, using for raffle processes, for truly as much as Trellis can offer us, we're going to do our best to take advantage of.
That's great to hear. And I would love to kind of understand the picture of these events that you're running before Trellis. How were you doing it before? What was the software like? What was the experience like?
So we've tried a lot of different softwares. We, as an organization, have been using Blackbaud, Razor's Edge as our donor database for, 25 years. Long before Heather and I, this was the platform that we've been using, and we continue to use, holds, 30,000 records? Yep. 30,000 of our donor records, and that grows obviously by the day. Hopefully. Every year we go into this benefit here in the Northeast, we have struggled to find a software that meets our needs, that can do both we've actually never used a platform for registration because our Blackbaud Razor's Edge system can, or NXT can offer us the registration process. So we've never really leaned into another provider doing the registration element. We've really used it for check-in, for silent auction, and for the fundraising element in the night of the event. And some of the hopes that we've always had was to be able to show throughout the night the thermometer to who's giving, what the names are, whether it's anonymously or with the amount associated with their gift, really tracking that throughout the night, having a pretty visual of the silent auction items, the ease of access for donors, whether that means they could access through a QR code or a link or whatever the process. And we've used many different platforms. We've tried Givergy. We've tried GiveSmart. We've tried One Cause. We've tried, before that, we did a text to giving platform years and years ago before some of these things existed in the way that they do. I think we went back to Givergy. We got locked into GiveSmart. Yep. Yeah. We got locked into a couple-year contract, so we were sort of stuck, none of which proved to do it all, and none of which gave us the care and attention that Trellis did along the way. I think our biggest fear when signing the contract with Trellis had to do with there wasn't going to be human support at the day of the event. Right. And honestly, we didn't need it. We really had all of the support in the lead up that we felt we were good to go, and proved that we were good to go to use the platform, and so many other events coming up now too.
That's amazing. I would love to unpack that, and please be, as honest as you can. We've heard this from a lot of people, is oh, you don't do in-person support. Like, we can't use you. Like, we need someone there. And it sounds like you've had in-person support at all of your other events or some of them. So I'd love to understand kind of what it looked like with that in-person support, and then switching to Trellis without any in-person support. And, talk me through about the fears and why, and before and after. I'd love to hear whatever you can share on that.
So actually, last year we had in-person support, and the in-person support was so grouchy, rude, incorrectly shared a text message with every attendee hours before the event, basically telling them that it was time for the after party. So they hadn't even attended the event, and this person issued out the wrong text message.
And they didn't know us.
And they didn't know us. They didn't know what we did. They didn't know what the platform looked like on our end. There was zero care. And so I think once we established that the showing up in person wasn't a guaranteed support, wasn't like the answer. When we met with Trellis to begin with, we were sort of okay with like, okay, if we feel prepared, then we won't need a person on site to be prepared. Yeah. And I think that really was the guiding light for us, was two parts. Trellis directly integrates with Blackbaud, right? Directly goes into NXT. So there was such a level of relief on the back end of the event that the amount of work that was going to need to be done was already reduced, that if there wasn't a person on site to help us, we were told, by Rebecca, our point of contact, that there would be services support if need be. And like that Trellis knew that our event was taking place, and it was like, like if something were to arise, somebody would be able to support us from afar. But we're living in a world where things are done virtually. So we had that confidence, and we work in that confidence as an organization. So why shouldn't we have that with a platform that we're using? And it really worked to our benefit. I think we all agreed we weren't going to allow that fear to drive us. We were going to allow that fear to challenge us in the way that we could take this on, and let it be sort of the marker for we can do this and we'll figure out how. We did.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Did you want to add anything, Heather?
Yeah, we started with that one event. We were like, we'll just use it for one event and that'll be done. But then we saw our other events and how we could use it for the other events. And we recently had an event in the Midwest on the suburbs of Chicago. And during the sponsor a camper portion, they raised more money than they had ever done, because they had the thermometer, the names were popping up, and it was easy and seamless for the donors to give. So it was really great that we didn't just do one event and then done. We continued with other events, and I think that was great.
We did set up our Northeast, our biggest event first.
Right.
And we did not plan to necessarily use the registration process that Trellis offered. But once we sort of evaluated what that looked like, and how, if we were going to drive donors to one place, why not let it be this Trellis page? We let our guard down. Yeah. Because again, the integration into our Blackbaud system was going to be there. It wasn't going to be double work on the back end. And we opened up our registration into Trellis, and we've done that for multiple events now too. And so we are feeling very confident in building out the system, that any one of us, there's 5 people on our full-time team. We're small, but all 5 of us know how to use Trellis, have used it to either make updates to a sponsorship or to try and create a silent auction item. So we all have the ability, even without having the skill set, to create a web page or know how to develop a software plan like this. It's that easy to plug and play for really any of us.
That's great to hear. And so just to kind of put a bow on the whole support piece, you've always had someone come in, you didn't with Trellis, but it sounds like it went smoother and it was easier. Is that an accurate statement?
Yeah.
I think so.
Very accurate.
There we go. And if you could think about any sort of quantification would be really helpful. Is it, if you were spending X amount of hours at check-in, or the line was so long, now it's shorter. And then I would love to also dig into after. And Heather, you mentioned about they did a fund a need with a thermometer and they raised more as well. So just trying to, any of the quantifiable pieces there would be really helpful.
I think our guests actually found it easier than some of our other platforms. It was easier for them to give. So I think when it's easier for them to give, it's easier for us to raise more money for for Scope. So we really did like that.
So what about, because I wasn't there, you managed check-in.
Yeah.
So we had a donor a gift in kind sponsored donor that lent us iPads, computer, like, right. So we had this whole setup that it was easily accessible for our volunteers to get people checked in.
Oh, yeah.
Did people utilize the QR code?
Some of them did. Right. Some of them used QR code, but it was even easier. Like if you came in and just said Molly, like, just typing MOL and her name would just pop up. It was so easy to check in. So the line it did go really fast. It was nice that we were able to gather phone numbers as well. So people were able to get those text messages throughout the night. And now that we're excited because some of our same donors that will come to the benefit next year, it'll already be stored in there for them. So they won't have to re-enter any of their information.
Yeah, you're seeing the benefits. We have customers that have been on for 3 or 4 years and they don't even have check-ins anymore. Right? There's like 10 people, they get like their new 10% of people they have to deal with. But even then they're getting it in advance and then there is no check-in anymore. So I'm excited to chat with you in a couple of years for that, for sure. And then you did mention the thermometer piece on the one event and how it raised a bunch more money. Could you give some more detail there?
Yeah, well, usually it would just be someone on stage and they would raise their hands or they would write down on the card, oh, I'd want to give however much they wanted to give. But this year, having it be texted straight to their phone, and they were able to just choose the donation level that was comfortable for them, and they saw their name up on the screen and the thermometer of how much we had raised that night. They had raised more than previous years, and I thought that was really great.
Oh, good to hear. We see paddle races and Fund a Need as such a huge growth area for most organizations because it's straight to your bottom line. Right? The effort required is get a really fun, friendly person on stage and some paddles, right? So that's great to hear. Awesome. So you did mention a big reason was the integration. So I would love to understand why it's so important, how long it was taking you to reconcile these events before Trellis, and then what it looks like now.
I mean, it would take me weeks just to get all the information from the other company into the Blackbaud system. Having it integrated was so nice, and it matched the data correctly. It went to the correct donor, all the payments. So it really did help a lot of the work that I would do afterwards to make sure that we have all the correct information about the donors and how much they gave. So that was really great.
Less manual entry.
Yeah.
We've heard they used to took 2 weeks to reconcile and now it's a day. What did that look like for you?
I agree. I think it would take like 2 weeks afterwards. It's nice that, it did take a while. The payments come in on Sundays to get all the Sunday payments in, but getting it through is a lot easier.
That's great to hear. I love that it's the credit card companies that you're waiting for and nothing else, right?
Yeah.
That's the payment world, unfortunately. So, but at least they're that fast. That's great to hear. And I'm just curious for the rest of your team, what was the benefit to them? So they did the event and now they have the data right away. You saved a bunch of time. You have data more immediate. What were some things that maybe you could do with Trellis that you couldn't do with the other softwares because of that?
I was thinking about the way the page looks. I don't know if you'd want to talk a little bit more about how it looked. We were able to optimize. So the other members of the team were able to optimize how it looked, and I thought it was pretty good.
I think, Justin, just to answer your question, we don't do enough with our data for us to be able to properly address what you're asking. If we did, I would have a better assessment of the reporting, the ways of following up with certain humans individually. We are just bandwidth wise so stretched that unfortunately as an organization, this is probably one of our bigger downfalls. One day we will have the right processes for doing the accurate cleanup of, did this person give more than they gave last year? And how can we thank them? And what can we say to them? And blah, blah, all of the things that I know need to happen. We're a month and a couple days past this event and are still trying to unweed ourselves from the event we had a week later and the event that we have coming up and the event that, it's impossible for us to get ahead.
And that's what we're hearing. What we are seeing some people do now is they kind of bucket it into 3 different buckets and they have 3 different funds, campaigns, packages, or appeals that they put it in so that certain items go somewhere or certain tickets go into a different one. And it's just like high, medium, low as a start. So I'm excited to see what you do in the future because you have the capability to do it. You've just never had that before. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So it's interesting to see that, and because you do have those probably high level ticket items or sponsor levels, or people that maybe donated their bid, right? Those are the people that like didn't even want to win, and things like that. So you can kind of just slowly. But it sounds like you have some other things that you loved. So I'll open the floor. You were mentioning the page was easy to build.
Yeah, it's easy to build, and so the silent auction, we were nervous about how it would go, but we opened it up. I mean, of course, there's things that we'd like to change a few things about the silent auction, but hopefully in the future that'll work out.
Yeah, things that in our debrief with Rebecca, we were able to uncover, like we just didn't know we could do. We weren't aware of, or it had rolled out while we were already in progress. So we sort of had learned how to do it, and then something new had come about, and we just didn't catch up to the new way of it being able to be done. So things to learn for the future, which is always great. There were some very good takeaways on our debrief of like, oh yeah, that does exist. We just didn't know how to access it.
That's
so
right.
Nothing groundbreaking, but also, the things that we thought would be beneficial for others, we were able to share and hear like, oh yeah, Apple Pay is coming, or PayPal is coming, right? Like these are the first thing our donors say is like, do you take Apple Pay, right? And without it, I don't carry my credit card anymore. So, wanting to make sure that we have accessibility for everyone on every way is definitely, you guys are ahead of, or getting there. And so we'll change things in the future.
We do those debrief meetings for a reason, right? Like we built this whole company off of feedback. Like we love to listen, and we love to be super clear about what we're building and what we're not too, right? So our product manager, Robin, is releasing a newsletter every quarter. So if you're not on that, make sure you get on that one, because it just talks about exactly what we're building, right? Now we're really focused on that Razor's Edge integration, and Apple Pay and all the other ones are coming for this fall Gala season, right? Which is very exciting, because that's a crucial part that everyone is now adopting, and everyone can receive text messages and they know how to pay with Apple and Google Pay, and it'll be a whole new world soon, which is very exciting. But that's great. I'm glad you provide that feedback. And that's, again, because we don't send people, we can spend the right time with you actually learning and doing what's right, instead of sending someone that hopefully knows the system well enough, but might not, as you found out, right? Great. Well, one more question for both of you, if you don't mind. If thinking about your specific role, if you have, let's say there's an organization just like Scope down the road that's thinking about using Trellis, what would you say to them?
Well, I'll go first because I go to other benefits for the camps that we help with our camperships, and they have asked me what would work for them. And I've been able to say Trellis might be really great for you because of all the features that it includes that we use, like the silent auction, the raffle, the fund a need, the sponsor camper, and to having donors be able to purchase really easily. And the check-in process was super easy as well.
I would say the silent auction closeout process was also really easy. The issuing of certificates right from the platform to the winner allowed, one of our team members sort of hours back in her follow-up, the days after, to not have to go through and bog down her email with those kind of that outreach, and people especially who wanted it like in the moment right away. So they had it, which was great. I would also say that we've tried a lot of these other systems. We have, and we have had problems with each of them. And this is the first software platform that we have walked away saying, I don't have anything negative to say. And if I had some ideas of change, I know that they'd be open to hearing it. So that feels like the right fit for us. That feels like for any organization that's also using Razor's Edge, I would highly suggest giving Trellis a go, simply because the integration exists. And then obviously all the technology that's in it is really user-friendly. And I think that, there's an element around in fundraising, people have a desire to see or know varies from charity to charity or organization to organization, or how they host their event, right? And we were at an event last week that showed nothing on their screen about who was giving, but they raised an obscene amount of money in the moment, right? But they weren't telling you that you just knew. For us, our donors, our committee, they want to see that, right? So to have those options, to know you can make those choices and feel what's right for your organization, I think, exists most in Trellis than it did for any other platform we've ever used.